Welcome to the Growing with the Nhiras podcast. My name is Brian, and this is my wife, Sonia Nira. We are the Nhiras, and we are on a journey to learn and to grow in the areas of faith, purpose, and relationship.
Today, we are talking about focus,
Yes.
but specifically eating the fruit of your focus. I don't know where we heard that phrase.
You will eat the fruit of your focus. Probably Craig Rochelle or something like that said.
I don't remember.
Some leadership
But
guru.
we wrote it down a few months ago.
Yeah.
Because we were like, man, we want to sit down and talk about that.
Yes.
We do. We want to sit down and talk about eating the fruit of your focus. Yeah, I guess there's many angles you can go about when you're talking about like focus.
Yes.
I guess what the angle I would like to talk about, which you can share with me yours.
Yes.
I would really like to talk about what should you be focusing on.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, like not like in your career, like what should you be focusing on in your life?
Yeah.
And then how do you go into that garden and take care of it enough to where you can eat the fruit of, that focus. So it's like, I don't know. I would like to talk about what's important to focus on.
Yeah.
And then how do you focus in such a way that, that priority can flourish and you can eat that fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that we should definitely talk about it within the context of family and relationship. I think that that's very important. I think the aspect of focus within the context of family and relationships is so important.
Yeah.
And if you're not intentional to focus, then things can get really out of hand really quickly. But I have a question, to start us off is like, in your life growing up, like, were you a focused person? Did you have the propensity to like be really focused, or like was it hard for you to like hunker down and focus on the things that were important in the seasons that you were in?
No.
Talk to us about that.
No, because growing up at a certain point, home life was really hard. It was very, very hard. There was a lot going on. Just a lot of trauma for my family. And so through the seasons of like remarkable trauma, like there was no focus for me. Like there was no focus. Like I didn't come home and like work on schoolwork.
Wow.
Like, I never did that. I would maybe do it like the night before a test, or I would get up early in the morning. Like literally I would get up at like 4:30 in the morning and then like finish the project or whatever.
Yeah.
But no, I would say as a young person, there was no focus. Everything was reactionary. Because when we talk about focus, like the importance of focus, I think that's synonymous with discipline.
Yeah, definitely.
And strategic planning.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Wow,
so strategic planning and discipline to follow out that plan. Right. And so like that will require focus. And the fruit of focus, in my opinion, is like discipline and strategic planning. So there was not really that. Everything was reactionary.
Yeah.
Which is sad. I think the only thing that I maybe focused on was things I didn't need to give my attention to. Worldliness and relationships. Looking, vanity, like stuff I didn't need to focus on that really wasn't producing fruit that was good for me.
Yeah.
So I think that my answer is no. What about you?
Growing up, definitely. My parents were very focused people.
Yeah.
My parents were very focused in their mission and their vision and what they were doing. My dad's like an ultra focused person.
Oh, yeah.
Like
everybody in your family.
It's very hard to knock him off his block. Like my dad, like hurricane, tsunami, tornado, whatever proverbially you throw at him, he ain't going nowhere. Like, he's staying focused on the mission that he has been called to.
Yeah,
even they've been traveling in ministry, for 30 years. Mm-hmm. Like, and there's been many times where I'm like, you need to stop doing this. We're like, you need to do something. But it's like, nope, this is what we've been called to do. So we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And they're just so focused, on the mission in Zimbabwe, so focused, on doing the conferences and building people up. And, I think that level of the level of focus that they have can also lead, like, it's a good and bad thing, because it can also lead to, like, inability to change sometimes, inability to change when change is necessary or changing too late.
Like, you're focusing, you're like laser.
Yeah, you're
like you have your blinders on and you just can't see anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Because it's almost like, when you look at something for long enough,
yeah,
it almost becomes distorted.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because if you're looking at something intensely enough for long enough, it'll actually become distorted, and then you have to, like, shake yourself for a moment.
Yeah, I just think
to get back. I'm not saying that's like what happened with my parents. I'm just saying, like, that's just a tenet of focus. Is actually one of the things, and this is really powerful. One of the things that you have to do to focus a camera sometimes is take it off of the subject, then bring it back. You have to take it off. You have to move it away from the actual thing you want to focus on, and then move it back.
Yeah.
So that you're able to, so it's able to recalibrate onto that image.
Yeah.
And so, but for me growing up, I feel like high school, whenever because I think what fuels focus is purpose. And so if you don't have something purposeful to walk towards, it's hard to be focused. Then you just are like just trying things. Like, you're just trying things to figure it out. And it's cool to have seasons like that.
Absolutely.
But it's special whenever you're able to get focused.
Yeah.
Like, one person who I think about, I know I'm going all over the place, but just travel with me through the corridors of my brain. I think about LeBron James. LeBron James, for the last 21, 22 years, has been so laser focused on being the best basketball player that he could possibly be. Like, he literally moves everything out of the way for basketball. And, like, obviously there's a level in focus that you get to that it's so automatic, and, like, it's running so seamlessly that you're then able to bring other things into the equation. Like, for him, like, he started doing a lot of media stuff. And also he had a great team, who, and that's another great thing of focus is focus within the context of focus, understanding what you're able. I know we're just gonna go down this road. You're understanding, like, what you're able to do and what you need other people to do in order for the vision and mission that you have to go forward. And I know that we're talking about this broad. We're gonna bring it into the family, because I think that, like, focus within the concept of family is so underrated. And as a result, so many families struggle. They struggle to live a consistent rhythm in life, because there's, and we've experienced this many times. I've had many conversations.
I think we're in a current season right now where I was literally thinking this morning, okay, after this week, we need to sit down and recalibrate.
Without a doubt.
With our rhythms.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
But anyways, coming back to my upbringing, I found purpose in high school. I found purpose whenever I joined vocal music.
Yeah.
Specifically my sophomore year.
Yeah.
Vocal music, I started getting really invested in that. And we want to know what? I was actually playing football at the same time. Like, major high school football, 6A, very serious, like 30-hour job type stuff. Like, we were on the job with football. And then I was also doing music as well.
Yeah.
I started doing vocal music, and I started to love it. I started to get involved in show choir, and just really, really, really involved in those two things. Those were, like, my two things that I was focused on in high school. And it gave me that purpose, gave me that focus. But then I reached a tipping point. My junior year, after my junior year, going into my senior year, where I had to make a decision, because what was happening is there was a tension between the two focuses. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. There was a tension that was keeping me from being able to have complete focus.
Yeah, it's like chasing two rabbits.
Not
able to catch either.
And I remember one summer, the summer before my senior year, I had gone through spring football. I was actually in line to start, like my very first time.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I was getting ready to start. Like, it was a very serious thing.
What position?
A cornerback on defense. I was getting ready to start. Faith knows this.
Were you fast?
Yeah. I mean, I was fast. I was
quarterback need to be fast?
Cornerback?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to be the fastest on the field. I wasn't that. But I was also doing musical theater because I was thinking, I'm going to go to school for musical theater. So I remember in that summer, I was going to this is crazy, a 3-week-long music theater intensive.
You did that?
At Oklahoma City Theater.
Really?
Oklahoma City University.
I never knew that you did that.
Yeah, Oklahoma City University.
What was that like?
We had amazing. It was amazing. It was so fun. Like, we were staying in these dope dorms, like on the college campus.
So fun.
Yeah, but I was working out every morning because I was like, I got to stay in shape for football. I have to stay in shape. So I have to be in the gym because they're back home waking up at 6 a.m. every morning getting ready for the football season. And so I'm like, I have to do the same thing. And I remember there was such tension. Like with those two focuses. And then one morning I woke up and I was like, I'm not going to work out. I'm done playing football. And I was like, I'm giving music my full focus. And so I stopped going to work out in the mornings.
You told your coach?
And so after the musical theater camp, because they knew I was going to it, they didn't like it by any means. They're like, nah, you need to be here working out. But that's, you're in line for a starting job. This is serious. Like, why are you going to...
Ew.
I mean, it was in
no,
11
coaches
words,
always be doing stuff like that. No, it's seriously.
Yeah.
It's like they put practices over like family time, and it's like they expect you to like they expect
that's definitely how it was.
No, coaches do that, and I don't like that.
That's
no,
and
I
so
don't like that at all.
I made that decision, and then when I got back home, I just stopped showing up. Well, they knew when I was coming home, actually. And we were the day or two after I was coming home, we were getting ready to go to Arkansas for a 7-on-7 camp. We're getting ready to go, and I was like, I was young, I was immature, I didn't know how to like talk to people, communicate like.
Sure, of course.
And so, but I remember one day I was getting ready to get into I was getting in the shower, and the head football coach called my house. He called my house and he was like, can I talk to Brian? He was like, where is he? He was like, we're going on this trip and we need him to be there. Were you the one who picked up the phone, Faith? It was you or it was Jasper. I was getting ready to get in the shower. I'll never forget this.
Do you remember this?
Yeah, and I was like, tell him I'm not here. For real, I was like, tell him I'm not here. And like, whoever it was like, oh, but Brian isn't here. He's rude. And so from that moment on, I never talked to them, but I quit. I quit.
Man, babe.
I know it wasn't good by any means, but I made a decision. I was like, hey, I'm getting ready to focus on music. I'm going into my last year. I'm going to give show choir, vocal music, and my college preparation my full focus. This is what I'm going to focus on. So I started training. I started getting my auditions ready for college. I started, my show choir. I invested myself in it to the point that we won the show choir, a show choir regional championship. And I was named best male performer. I was locked in. I locked in and I focused that year, and ultimately had the opportunity to see that focus pay off. And even with college, like I was, I auditioned at a number of universities, like the University of Oklahoma. Really, I only auditioned at two. I auditioned at the University of Oklahoma and Oklahoma City University, which is top 5 musical theater school in the nation, has produced so many Broadway stars. And I got accepted into both. at the University of, at Oklahoma City University. I got a $32,000 scholarship. And, that was the fruit of focus that I had the opportunity. Obviously, the Lord had a different path for me. And I can go down and tell that story. I don't want to take too much of our time on here about, like, when I got to college, that focus, like, okay, I had one semester in college where I was like a wandering generality, Have you heard about that? Wandering generality?
No, I never heard of that phrase.
It's an interesting concept. We won't talk about it now. It's just, wandering generality, just people who wander through life kind of aimlessly, just essentially accepting what like is thrown at them rather than taking initiative in life and being able to focus long enough to be able to make things happen, essentially. But I had one semester, my first semester, my freshman semester was like my wandering generality semester, where I was lamenting the fact that like I was there and where I was and not where I wanted to be. Like at Oklahoma City University, doing musical theater, getting ready to go beyond Broadway. Like, who knows, man? I could have been in Hamilton. Like, if I probably would have been in Hamilton. I probably would have, or The Lion King. But that wasn't.
Yeah, but you were going down to Oklahoma doing stuff you shouldn't have been doing.
Yeah. I mean, once, just like my heart was longing for that life, but the Lord had a different life for me at Oral Roberts University. So that one semester was like my semester of wandering and trying to like figure things out.
And what whipped it back into shape? What brought your focus back in that season?
That trip to Oklahoma City University.
Really?
Yep. That trip to Oklahoma City University. I remember waking up the next day at the person's house I was staying at. And I was like, this isn't for me. I knew it. I was like, you know what? You're right, God. This isn't for me. And so I was like, take me home now. I was like, take me home. And I promise, when I step foot on that campus at ORU after that Oklahoma City University trip, I was so focused, Sonia.
Come on.
Like, I was like, okay, we're here. We're about to make the next 3.5 years the most, like, we're about to squeeze every ounce of what this university and what this place can give me in the next 3.5 years. I was so focused. Not only that, I found focused people.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was blessed to find like my best friends in life, like Caleb, Rashad, who else? Kevin, Dexter. Ooh, Dexter took me under his wing and taught me focus. Dexter, like, I attribute, honestly, learning what it looked like to be locked in life to Dexter. Praise like, God. He, one of my best friends, gonna be in his wedding soon. But, like, we got locked in. Like, we were locked in on our purpose, and everything we did surrounded our purpose. Everything we did surrounded what we were like. We would obviously have fun. We would go on cruises. We'd go on road trips. But we were locked in on like what we were doing in life. And we were always challenging each other towards the things that we wanted to do in life. And so, man, like the fruit of focus from that ultimately led to me being able after college to step into my purpose and to walk in that purpose. In a really special way, Sonia. In a really special way.
If you look at, so if you come back to that phrase, eating the fruit of your focus. Like, look at what you were able, like, look at some of the things that happened at ORU, right? So think the conclusion of the season, it's like there's like a fancy word for giving the speech.
But I mean, I wasn't the valedictorian. I was just like, I was chosen by the student body and by the faculty to give the senior address.
Yeah, so you gave the senior address. It's like, okay, well, that didn't come from unintentionality.
Yeah.
That was some fruit of your focus.
Yes, without a doubt.
Was it that season that you produced your first album?
Yeah.
Or was it after?
Raised $20,000 during my senior year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And recorded a full album.
Yes.
And that's remarkable for that time.
Yeah. At my graduation, I led worship and then I gave this speech.
Yeah.
You know what I
mean? You led worship regularly that was broadcasted on TV at ORU.
Mm-hmm.
What are some other things that you ate from the fruit of your focus in that season?
Relationship, so as a result of relationships that I built during college, I was serving the president in college. I was one of the essentially the university ambassadors during that time.
Yeah, think about even the award that they gave you. Even after.
Yeah, the alumni. It was like the Young Alumni of the Year award.
Yeah, Young Alumni of the Year. It's like you were focused there, you were focused after, and they even recognized you after the fact.
Yeah.
But if you wouldn't have been on the radar then, you wouldn't have been on the radar now. Yeah. You know? So it's like that was a way that you ate from the fruit of your focus.
Yep.
You know, and it's not to share those things to boast.
Not at all.
We could care less about that. But it's just like a real life example of what being locked in and focused
without a
can
doubt
produce. Like eating the fruit of your focus. That's a big deal, babe. That's a huge deal.
Without a doubt.
I love that we've got into this vein.
Yeah.
Because I think so many people want to be the person that's chosen for the final speech. They want to, be honored with awards and like all those things. It's like, but those things will never happen.
Yeah.
If you're not focused.
If you're not
focused.
And
they might not even happen even after you're focused.
Yeah.
But something that's really interesting when you were talking is the phrase that you said, I think that focus is attached to purpose. And when I first shared that I wasn't focused when I was younger, I felt like the Lord was reminding me when you were talking. I was like, wait, hold up. I actually was doing a lot.
Yeah.
I was doing a lot.
Yeah.
I was in sport. I was in multiple sports. I was in like a pre-med program. I took so many college courses before I graduated high school. Like I had like 2 semesters done of college credit. I had an internship at the hospital that I would leave the school.
Dang.
I would leave the school my senior year at like 1:00 and go to the hospital and have an internship.
Yeah.
And then because I was underneath a physical therapist. And then I went through an EMT program during school and like was with like paramedics and firefighters, like every day for 3 months my senior year. They were like training us and teaching us. I didn't go get my certification because I was terrified.
Yeah.
From their real life stories of like losing children and like just like a 17-year-old, you were like, I can't fathom that. I don't want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And then I immediately got my CNA after that because you could do both. So I did both.
Wow. Certified nurse assistant?
Yeah.
Certificate? What?
A CNA. So yeah. So I was going to a nursing home and being trained, and then I would have to sit in classes and do practicums.
Oh, wow.
And then I did get my board certification with that, but I didn't ever use it because but the reason why I would say I wasn't focused is because I didn't, I did all those things, but I didn't go through them in a way of excellence I know I could have. It was like I passed by the hair of my chin. It's like, that's it, because I wasn't diligent with studying. I wasn't diligent. It was just like my raw gifts got me through, but there was no stewardship of those gifts.
Wow.
And that's always like brought so much heartache to me. I've always been so disappointed because I look at myself, even in that season, it's like, if you would have just had better character and more discipline, you could have thrived. Like you could have done so much better. Not for anybody else, but like your capacity's here and this is your output. Like this margin makes me sad.
Yeah.
Like that margin makes me sad.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
And so it was like,
it makes me sad too when I see
16, 17-year-old Sonia, you had so much more within you. You didn't focus. You didn't always have the tools to focus. Home life didn't set you up for success. Yeah. That's not, I don't blame that, but I've had to give myself grace. Yeah. As over the years. Yeah. That I didn't produce as much fruit because there was just a lot going on. Yeah. You know, and I had to give myself grace, but I still feel that disappointment. That's why I immediately,
that's good.
Like, I immediately was like, no, I wasn't focused.
Yeah, because of the disappointment.
If I actually look at grace, if I like look at my life through grace, it's like, okay, hold up. You still did a lot. Yeah. You still did a lot. And it was good. And I'm grateful because I've always had confidence in myself. And I've always just had raw giftings. But what changed the game for me is when I found purpose. Yes. It produced a focus.
What was that purpose?
The Lord.
Wow, that's good. Yeah.
The Lord, like in high school, because everyone was putting so much pressure on me. Yeah. Like all of my teachers that I trusted, family members that because my family believed I had like the best grades in the world. And I was like too afraid to tell them.
And nobody was checking.
And I was too afraid to tell them because like on state exams, I would go to like these honorarium like meals for like kids that like got like really great scores.
You were sneaking in?
No, I would really actually get those scores. Gotcha. By like raw gifting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But like that wasn't reflected in my grades. So like my family thought that I was like creme de la creme.
So your mom wasn't even checking?
No, my mom was. But I'm talking about my extended family.
Oh, okay. So like from afar there,
like my grandpa would be like, I'm so proud of you.
And you didn't have the courage to be like,
no, I was so
Grandpa.
ashamed. I was so ashamed. I'm like, I'm living a lie.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I'm living a lie.
I feel you.
And I have to perform for my family or my family's going to be disappointed. They're going to be crushed.
Yeah. That was like my first years of high school. Sheesh, I was.
And like my family, I would hear phrases from family members like, you're the one that's going to make it through. Yeah. You know, it's like, you're the one that's leading our family. And I'm like, just like.
They weren't wrong.
Well, yeah, but wrong. It put in me a level of like needing to perform. Yeah. Like I have to perform to be accepted. Yeah. And I was too afraid of rejection. So I wasn't going to tell you if I wasn't getting the grades you thought I was getting. Yeah. I'm talking extended family. My mom could have pulled up my grades at any time. She knew my grades. She knew my GPA. Yeah. But I felt so much pressure from family to like have like this prestigious, is that right? Prestigious degree moving out of high school into college. Yeah. And it was so overwhelming because I was like, if I don't do a doctorate's program or if I don't do a pre-med program or if I don't do an engineering, if I don't do something that is like really fancy, like I'm gonna let down my family. Like that's literally how I felt. Yeah. And so when I finally was free of that, and the Lord led me to study, the Bible, I was set so free. And you know what? Like, it's not that every family member like disagreed with it. I won't speak for every family member because there's so many of them. Yeah. But the phrases that I would hear is like, man, pastors don't make any money, you know? Yeah. And so making that choice was me severing myself from like the pressure of doing something that was going to impress my family. Yes. because I knew even without conversations, the way that was perceived. Now some people were thrilled about it. Like my grandma, she was like so proud, would tell every stranger she would ever meet that her daughter was going to be a pastor.
Yeah.
Right? Or her granddaughter was going to be a pastor. But that was the season, and that's why it's the most fun season for me.
Yeah.
It was like the first time in my life that I found purpose.
Yeah. That's good.
Because I had told the Lord in high school, and I told my family this. I just want to change the world.
Yeah.
Like as a child, I would just think about like, I want to change the world. I want to change the world. And I couldn't find a degree program that would lead me to world change. And that's when like my family would talk about, and I told them honestly, like, I want to be a part of changing the world.
Yeah.
And so then people would be like, okay, well, like doctors.
Yeah.
Doctors do that. And like engineers, like you could help build this and blah, blah, blah. And like those are all true. I'm not trying to downplay those career paths. Absolutely true. But when I found God and the message of salvation and the message of like what the Lord has done for humanity, I'm like, no. This has world-changing power.
Yeah, it does.
And I was like, I'm giving my life to this.
That's right, yeah.
I'm literally giving my whole life. And my friends thought I was crazy. Like they literally, I had my best friend at that time was like, your faith is consuming you. You know?
Yeah.
And like, I just was like, breaking up with you. I'm not hanging out with you anymore.
Heck yeah. Hey.
You are in sin. I was so bold. You are living in sin. And I had a friend not wanting to go to, because I would invite everybody to church.
Yeah.
I had a friend that didn't want to go to church with me because she was like, I feel anxious in church. And I'm like, that's a demon. And you need to stop sleeping with your boyfriend. And this is the boundary I'm laying right here.
Yeah.
You know? So there was like one friend that hung for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
that's what you have to do sometimes when when it comes to focus. Part of focus is cutting out all things that are distractions.
Yeah.
Like part of focus, like the whole concept of focus, because focus is really it's not just a like term for like cameras or things that capture things. Like it's obviously that's kind of the basis and the root of it, but it really is powerful when you think about a camera lens. The whole point of the focus is to be able to eliminate all distractions around the primary subject. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what so many people have a hard time doing in their lives. Like so many parents, so many married couples, like they have so much trouble being able to cut out all the things that surround the primary focus of their family or of their marriage relationship in an effort to give it the necessary attention it needs to be able to be properly captured. And so I think that's a mistake that I made at the beginning of our marriage. I think that for me, I was like, okay, I was already rolling in my career to an extent. I mean, I was rolling in my career.
Oh, definitely.
I was rolling in my career.
Yeah. It was post-voice.
Yeah.
You had done like a little tour in Africa.
Lots of stuff.
You were doing lots of events.
Yeah.
When I met you, you were doing a lot of events.
Oh, without a doubt.
Like almost every week you were doing events.
Yes, without a doubt. Doing something.
You were definitely in the flow.
Yeah. And, for me, like, if I were to go back and do it again, I probably would have taken 6 months to focus. Like 6 months to a year to focus on our marriage. And just be like, okay, everything else stops. Everything else gets out of the way because I have made the most important commitment in my life thus far besides saying yes to Jesus. And I am going to give this my complete and total focus. I am going to say, like, my wife is the primary, like, she is at her and Jesus are at the center of my focus in this season. But I just kind of continue doing life and kind of like said, okay, you can just come along for the ride and we'll both focus on this. And that didn't really work. And so we all had a lot of come to Jesus moments.
That made me really emotional, you saying that. Made me sad.
Absolutely. I mean it's, hey, we all make mistakes, and that's the thing. Like, within this process you make mistake, and like I feel like I've made a number of mistakes even like within the context of focusing. Like, especially like when it comes to music, like I think that 2020 was a year where everybody pivoted, and we pivoted our focus in 2020. My team and I, we pivoted to like doing a lot of online stuff, a lot of like we started grinding online, and as a result, my platforms tripled. Yeah, tripled. Like we crossed the million follower threshold across platforms during that season. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? As a result of us switching our focus and focusing. But then I think like 2 years later, we didn't recalibrate. I didn't take the time to recalibrate my focus. And then also during that time is like, now I have a family. And so like, okay, like my business is providing for itself, but it's not quite providing for my family holistically. And so it's like I started doing stuff at the church. So then my focus started getting split and it started getting divided. You know what I'm saying? And within that process, like, I think my soul just got tired. Yeah. And I probably should have somewhere along the line, like, stopped and been like, okay, I need to recalibrate. Yeah. I need to refocus in an effort to, because if this is what I do believe, like, and this is something I thought of while you're talking, the people who have the hardest time focusing are the people who are gifted in multiple areas, who are able to do multiple things. Yeah. It's like almost a double-edged sword. It's like with one sword, like you're knocking things down. With other sword, you're cutting your own head off. Like with one swing, you're knocking a giant down, and then the other, you're knocking yourself out. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like the people who are so gifted and who are able to do multiple things. And I know so many of these people.
Like most people.
I'm thinking
honestly.
about one person like in my mind right now, but actually he's like amazing at a lot of things and like does a great job at it.
You can tell me who it is.
KD. Initials.
Okay, I'll have to decipher after. Praise God.
The one who got us into real estate, who helped us.
Oh yeah.
But he's so, and like honestly, like no, just to be very honest, like he's amazing at everything he does. Like I haven't seen him actually like falter yet, really. Yeah. But like for me during that season, probably like 2021, 2022, like I was trying to do so many things that ultimately, like, what I think it did, and I think I'm still recovering, is it, like, sapped my soul.
Oh, it burned you out.
Yeah, it like, burned me out.
You were at burnout, babe.
Without a doubt.
You couldn't even dream.
Yeah, like,
you couldn't even
like,
see, you couldn't see the future. And Brian's a visionary.
Oh, 100%.
Brian is, one of his most dominant gifts is he's a visionary. Yeah. And so it's hard when the lights get turned off.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah,
it's
and
like
I feel
sobering.
like the Lord is slowly dimming it upward.
Without a doubt. I think like there's a lot of things that are, the Lord is helping me awaken to now. And, honestly, like one of the things that's helped me the most is like, my family. Focusing on giving my family my focus has actually opened the door for everything else.
Praise God.
In this season, like at the beginning of the year, at the end of 2022, I kind of dissolved my team on the Brian Air music side, which was really hard and really emotional because it had been a focus for so many years of my life. And I love it. And there's a lot of purpose. And like, I'm very adamant about being a good steward of that which God has given you. And like, the fact of the matter is God has given us over 1 million people to influence. Yeah. Like, that's just a reality. And so like it pained me to like be like, shoot, I'm in a position where I have to stop and I have to recalibrate. I have to take my eyes off of this thing. Just like I was saying earlier, I have to take my eyes off of Brian Nhiras music for a minute. Yeah. So that I can come back and have a fresh focus.
Brian, I just want to say, so proud of you.
Thank you.
You can kind of be like your dad in that way.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
You know what you were saying earlier? Yeah. It's like you can just be so gridlocked.
Oh man,
on something.
When I'm locked in,
it's not locked in. It's like this is a gridlock. Woo. And it's actually a gift, right? Yeah. It's a gift.
Yes.
But it needs to be refined, and you have to know the temptations of your gifting.
Without a doubt.
And one of the temptations of your gifting is like just not being willing to move when you need to move.
Yeah, yeah.
Agreed. You know, and I'm really, really proud of you because what a test.
Yeah, without a doubt.
What a test for you to, you know, for the Lord to ask you to take your focus off something that's so dear to your heart.
Yep.
And you did it, and you did it without anybody telling you to. You did it from the place of prayer. You know, it's like that's a big deal.
Yeah.
You did it when it cost you something.
Yeah.
And I just feel like whenever the season comes where the Lord is like, okay, like let's get locked in again. Like there's no way.
Yeah.
There's just no way there's no way this thing is not going to just go on an exponential trajectory towards where it's always been in your heart.
Yes.
And so I'm just super proud of you. I think that I would really like to talk about in our, you know, as we segue to close this podcast is I think people will be like, I can't focus because I'm just not a disciplined person, or I can't focus because I just don't have vision. I can't focus because blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
What would you encourage people, like, if you could give them, like, here's 3 steps, you know, here's a few steps.
Yes.
Like, how do you get focus back? Like, how do you get on the track of, you know, focusing on the right things? And then what does that do? I mean, what do you do?
I think number one, what's hard is that when you're not focused, or when you're like in a position where you're like trying to get focused, is you start trying to look down the road. You start trying to look down the road, and everything is like what's going to happen. But I think what you have to do is focus on right now.
Yeah.
And focus on the next step.
Yeah.
What, like, the next step is going to help you get back on track.
Yeah.
Not the step that's 10 steps down the road, but the next step. Being able to focus on what you currently have in your hands right now. Because what you have in your hands right now is the tool that's going to help you get on track when it comes to focus. That's right.
Because people will say, okay, I have purpose, but like there's nothing in my life that I can be working on towards that thing. There's nothing. It's like a victim mentality, right?
Without a doubt.
Or a lack mentality. But Brian has this life message. There is always something in your hand.
Yeah, there's always something. God has always placed something in your hand.
Something you can do. There's always something you can do towards that thing. Always.
Yeah.
Always. Even if it's very, very small beginning.
Yeah.
Even if it's like you feel called to be a pianist, like maybe all you do is start watching some YouTube videos.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like you just start like there is always something available to you to start on that track of purpose and things that you can focus on that are unto that purpose.
Yeah, and like, you know, just attributing it to marriage and to family, it's like if you feel like you guys are in an unfocused place, like what you need to do, and like this is really hard. This is actually really hard. I think it's really hard for me as well. Because I'm like, like when we're in an unfocused place, and like it's been like we've been there for lately.
Like a month.
We've been there. I mean, we've been, because we've had a lot of moves, a lot of changes.
But definitely for a month.
But it's like, because you're always trying to think of the outcome. You're always like, well, this is the outcome that I want. This is the outcome that I want. And so your heart just longs for the outcome rather than having the ability to stop in the moment and to have a conversation that allows you to recalibrate enough to then begin to take steps that move you forward. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like as a married couple, man, what that can look like is like you taking a night just to like talk about, okay, what are the issues? Like what are the things going on in your heart and in your mind? And what can you do in this moment to take one step forward to getting focused again? Like, whether you need to get focused in your finances. Okay. If you need to get focused in your finances, take a night to be like, to consider how your finances are doing. Like, how much are you spending? How much debt do you have? How much You can go down the list. And then from that place, then create a budget. Create a budget. Then once you've created your budget, then start putting some goals in there. Then start thinking about goals. Then start thinking about the bigger picture. Yeah. But you got to start where you are and with your family. Like when it comes to your family, like, and if you're in a season where your family's just really unfocused, there's no rhythm, there's no established focus in your family that allows everybody to thrive. Okay, take a couple days just to be like, okay, we are going to do an analysis of our schedule.
Let's do that.
Yeah, we should do an analysis of our schedule. And then we're going to come back together.
Yeah, we need to
and we're going to say, okay, what in our schedule is working? What in our schedule is not working? What in our schedule needs to be added? What in our schedule needs to be subtracted? Come to an agreement on that so that you're in unity on your focus and then begin taking steps. And this is the thing. You've got to give yourself grace in the process and the establishment of these new rhythms and this new focus. Because whenever you start, it's going to be hard. So take it one day at a time. And if you fail one day, get back up the next day and keep going. Keep focusing. Keep that focus until your family is in a focused rhythm that allows you to thrive.
Yes. I'm just going to pray us out with this.
Absolutely.
I don't think perfection is the expectation, but what should be is just 1% better every day.
Yeah.
So Lord, I just pray for condemnation and shame to just go now in Jesus' name. That people would be set free of shame for lack of focus. Some things are in their control, some things are not in their control. And Lord, I just pray that you would put them on this path of diligence, intentionality, on the things that you need them to prioritize. So I just pray for encounters. I pray for words from you. I pray for just a sovereign move of your spirit in their lives to where that they could discern what they need to focus on. Inspire them, give them purpose. Help them prioritize, Lord Jesus, where they're putting their energy and their time. And I just believe, Lord, because your word says you bless the work of our hands. And so, Lord, I just pray that as we focus, as we are diligent, that we will have blessing upon the work of our hands. In Jesus' name, amen.